The invitation was handwritten in red ink on thick paper. No return address, no stamp, just slipped under my door sometime between midnight and dawn. 13 nights, 1 guest, come dressed in black. I should have thrown it out, but I didn't. Maybe because I was drunk. Maybe because I'd just buried my father. Or maybe because something inside me wanted to believe that mystery hadn't yet rotted from the world. The next night, I went. The address led to a Victorian house on the edge of the city. One of those grand old mansions that looked abandoned at noon but watched you after dark. Ivy covered the windows. The front gate creaked open for me. I swear it hadn't moved in years. Inside, everything was candlelight and shadows. A tall man in a red waistcoat greeted me at the door. He didn't ask my name. "Welcome," he said. "You're right on time." There were 12 others, all dressed in black. Strangers. We didn't speak. Just nodded and sipped wine poured from bottles with no labels. Deep, dark red. Not sweet, not dry. Almost warm. Each night we returned. Each night the rituals deepened. The first few were tame. A silent dinner. Strange music from a phonograph. A toast offered in a language none of us knew. But the candles at night seemed to burn slower. Time stretched. I'd arrive at 9 p.m. and leave just before sunrise, unsure where the hours had gone. On the 7th night, 1 guest didn't show. No one mentioned her. Her chair was simply removed from the table. By the 10th night, I wasn't sleeping. My skin felt electric. Dreams bled into waking. I'd see figures in mirrors behind me that weren't there when I turned. My reflection blinked a moment too late. My pulse became slower, like something ancient had taken over the job of keeping me alive. I asked the man in the red waistcoat what was happening. He smiled with too many teeth and said, "Transformation always begins with surrender." I locked my door, unplugged the phone, sat in my bathtub with the lights off, and still, I found myself at their door. No memory of the drive, just the sound of the front gate creaking open again. There were only 7 of us left. The man in red had begun to call us by new names, not ones we recognized, but ones that felt true. Mine was Thale. I didn't fight it. The 11th night was blood. Not violence, not chaos, just ritual. Each of us was given a silver knife, each told to offer a drop of ourselves into a basin at the center of the table. When I cut my finger, the blood came out darker than I remembered, thicker, like it didn't want to leave. When the last guest bled, the man in red dipped 1 finger into the basin and pressed it to his lips. He sighed, a sound like wind passing through a crypt. "You are ready," he said. I wanted to get away, but I stayed. So did the others. The 12th night. No more wine, only silence. He led us into the basement. The walls were lined with mirrors, but none of them showed our reflections anymore. One guest, a woman I'd spoken to briefly on the 3rd night, began sobbing. Said she remembered her children. Said she wanted to go home. The man in red tilted her chin up gently, kissed her forehead, then tore her throat out with his mouth. No one moved. No one ran. It was like we couldn't. The 13th night. The final night. The house was different. The air was stiller, heavier, as if we were underwater. The furniture was gone. The candles were black. There were only 3 of us left. We stood in a circle while the man in red walked around us, slowly, reverently. "You will forget who you were," he said, "and remember who you are." He stopped in front of me. "You were chosen," he whispered. "You were always one of us. We merely woke you." He kissed my hand. His lips were ice. Then he sank his teeth into my wrist. There was pain, but also release. My heart stuttered, then surged. I could feel every pulse as if I was being rewired. My breath caught fire. My vision sharpened. The candlelight turned blinding. Then I collapsed. I woke up in my apartment, alone, drenched in sweat. No bite, no blood, no proof. Just the red invitation on the floor beside my bed. It was blank now, completely clean, but I haven't been the same since. I walk past mirrors that no longer reflect me. I can hear people's heartbeats through walls. The sun hurts my eyes, burns my skin. I crave things I shouldn't. Last night, I stood over a man in the alley behind my building. Just stood there, watching him breathe, listening to the rhythm of blood in his veins like music. I didn't move, not yet, but it's only a matter of time. They say the city died last winter. They're wrong. It started dying long before that. The decay began beneath our feet, in the subway tunnels, under the river, in the places where light doesn't go. I used to work down there, maintenance contractor, night shifts, paid extra for silence. One night, about a year ago, I saw a man walking through the tunnel near the 3rd Avenue platform. No vest, no flashlight, pale as ice. Just walking barefoot through the dark, staring up at the dripping ceiling like he'd forgotten gravity existed. I called out. He didn't turn. He just whispered something. I swear, the tracks vibrated when he spoke. When I turned to call dispatch, the power went out. 10 full seconds of absolute black. When the emergency lights flickered back on, he was gone. I tried to forget it. I blamed stress. A week later, a coworker, Reggie, didn't show. We found his gear by the Hudson Line access door, and something else. A smear of blood running up the wall. Up, not down. Like something dragged him against gravity. Nobody talked about it. Then the disappearances started. Then the tunnels collapsed. Then the city cracked open. They came at night, always at night. Not fast, not loud. Just there, standing at the end of streets, pale and patient. Their eyes glowing faintly like coal through snow. Mouths dry and wide and hungry. And we learned real fast. They weren't like the stories. No sunlight weakness, no stakes, no invitations. They were rot-wrapped in skin, and the moment they touched you, it was over. Not death, conversion. Blood didn't feed them, it replaced you. Corrupted everything. You could watch someone turn, see the color drain, the breath stutter, the smile creep back in. It happened to my brother on day 5. We were holed up in an old grocery store. He went out for water, came back shaking, pale, his mouth was red. I didn't drink it, he said. I swear. He begged me to tie him up. I did, and he sang while he changed. The ones who turned didn't speak at first. They just stood near the edges of the dark, watching, waiting. Then one night, I saw her again. The barefoot woman from the tunnel. She walked right up to the edge of our barricade, tilted her head. "You're almost ready," she said to me. I nearly shot her, but her voice hit something in my spine, like it knew my name from before I was born. I didn't sleep after that, didn't eat, just waited. We moved safe houses constantly. Church basements, abandoned cars, once inside the freezer of a fast food joint. But it was all temporary. They were always close. We could feel them, like pressure in the teeth, like old guilt. The city stopped broadcasting news. The military pulled out, and still they whispered, just below the concrete. One by one, we all heard them. There were 4 of us by the end. Me, a woman named Cruz, and 2 others who barely spoke anymore. Our skin itched. Our eyes ached in daylight. We knew we were losing. Not just the fight. Ourselves. One night, Cruz sat in the corner, quiet and still. She said she could feel something inside her changing, like her thoughts weren't hers anymore. "I'd rather disappear than become one of them," she whispered. Moments later, her skin turned pale, and something like black smoke curled from her eyes. She looked at me and smiled, like she finally understood something the rest of us couldn't. I ran, through alleys, through broken buildings, through snow that didn't melt, and they followed, not running, just moving, like fog with bones. I made it back to the tunnels, back where it started. I figured it was fitting to die there, but when I stepped onto the tracks, I didn't find death. I found the gate. It wasn't made of stone or steel. It was made of flesh. Flesh like candle wax, veins like rope, eyes embedded in the surface, blinking slowly. A massive mouth stretched into the shape of an arch, breathing in sync with the tunnel around it. And from inside, she came. The woman, older now, or younger, or maybe she'd shed her skin for something more perfect. "I knew you'd return," she said. "Your blood has always been awake." She opened her arms. My hand shook as I reached for the last weapon I had, not to fight her, but to end it on my terms. She just smiled. "There's no escaping what you are." I froze. I couldn't do it. I don't know why. Maybe I was already hers. Maybe we all are. Now I walk the city. I don't hide anymore. The other survivors, the ones left, run when they see me. They should. I can hear their hearts, taste their breath. The woman lives behind my eyes now. She hums when I close them, and I can't feel the cold. I don't need food. I don't need sleep. I only need more. And there's always more. Beneath the skin of this city, something ancient has bloomed, and I am its voice now. I met her at a gas station. It was late, somewhere along Route 219, the kind of nowhere road where cell signal vanishes and gas stations feel like shrines to the desperate. I'd been driving for hours, trying to outrun grief. My brother had just died. The pumps were ancient, the lights buzzed, and there she was, leaning against the ice machine, smoking a cigarette like she was posing for an old painting. Pale skin, dark coat, no car in sight. "You heading north?" she asked. I hesitated, but then I nodded. "Mind giving me a lift?" The rational part of me knew better. But there was something disarming about her. Her voice was quiet, confident, and I didn't want to be alone. That was the real reason. After my brother, the silence in the car had become unbearable. She introduced herself as Sarah. Didn't say much. Just stared out the window like she was waiting for something to catch up. I noticed her watching the horizon closely as the last light faded. Not like she feared it, more like she needed it to go. At midnight, she asked if she could pay her way. I asked what she meant. She leaned close and said, "Do you want to forget for a while?" I felt a chill run through me. And then, nothing. I woke up hours later, parked on the shoulder with the engine off, alone. My wallet was untouched, keys still in the ignition. But there were 2 pinprick marks on the side of my neck, faint, like a spider had brushed me in the night. And I felt lighter, as if someone had scooped out a piece of pain and carried it off. I tried to tell myself I imagined it, but I couldn't shake her from my mind. And then she showed up again. This time, she was waiting outside my apartment. "You looked like you needed another ride," she said. I let her in. That became our ritual. She'd arrive after sundown. No texts, no knocks. We'd drive aimlessly, sometimes in silence, sometimes talking about death like it was a friend we both used to know. And always, at some point, she'd lean in and whisper, "Do you want to forget?" Every time, I said yes. And every time I'd wake up hours later with a faint ache in my neck and a memory missing, a grief dulled, a regret gone. I stopped mourning my brother, then I stopped remembering why we ever fought, then I forgot his funeral completely. One night, I asked her what she was. She smiled. Her teeth were white, sharp, but not monstrous. "I'm just hungry," she said. "You're a vampire? Why me?" "You taste like grief, regret, things you hold on to even when they rot. Most people try to bury that pain. You carry yours like a lantern," she said. She ran a cold finger down my cheek. "You burn beautifully." Eventually, I craved her more than she craved me. She warned me once not to rely on her too much. "You'll lose yourself," she said. But I didn't care. I begged for the forgetting. She started taking more. Not just memories, but pieces of me. My ambitions, my anger, my fear, my guilt. It all disappeared. I became numb, hollow, but peaceful. She always returned it slowly, like a thief who wanted me to notice something missing before giving it back out of pity. And then came the night she didn't show up, or the next night, or the one after. The absence was unbearable. Without her, everything rushed back, guilt in full color. The memories of my brother slumped on the floor, the voicemail I ignored, the unopened text the night he died. The grief she'd taken came back sharper, raw, like nerve endings exposed. I looked for her, drove the roads we used to take, checked every lonely gas station. I asked strangers if they'd seen her. A pale woman with eyes like black glass. No one had. I found a man sitting in a church, sobbing quietly. He had the same pinprick marks on his neck. He didn't know her name either, but he called her the beautiful ghost who makes you forget. I tried to summon her. I waited in the dark. I let the guilt swallow me again. I offered myself. Finally, she returned. She stood in my bedroom doorway just before sunrise, framed in shadow, pale, tired. "You called?" she said softly. "I need you," I said. She stepped closer, touched my chest. "You're empty now. There's nothing left to feed on." "I'll remember everything again. Please take it." She turned to go. I grabbed her wrist. "Then make me like you." She froze. "I don't want to feel anymore," I whispered. "I want to live like you. Cold, hungry, eternal." Her gaze pierced through me. Then she leaned in and kissed my neck. I woke up in the woods, alone. My skin felt different. Thin, tingling in the moonlight. I haven't eaten since. The sun hurts. Even thinking of it burns. But I don't need food. I don't need sleep. All I need now is grief. And yours will do.